Today, Iran is an Islamic theocracy, but a republic. It is the fastest growing publisher of scientific articles in the world, but only this year stopped stoning people to death. When the last century began, it wasn't only a very different country, it didn't even have the same name. It was still called Persia and was ruled by a dynasty of Shahs. But in 1921, a general who rose from the rank of a stable boy staged a coup and called himself the Shah. He told the world to call his country Iran. He chose the wrong side in World War II, and the Allies occupied the country, giving power to someone they could control, his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the final Shah of Iran. The new Shah gave up power to the parliament, but the British found the arrangement harder to control than they imagined. In 1951, the elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, passed laws to nationalise the oil industry and cut out the British, so the British cut him out instead. They asked the CIA to help them remove Mossadegh, and the Shah was convinced to stage a coup with Western support. Mossadegh was arrested, tried, and told to live under house arrest until the day he died. The Shah tried to modernise Iran, increasing the role and freedom of women and building modern infrastructure across the country. But the country became a one-party state, and the Shah's enemies were tortured and murdered en masse. He once excused his methods with the comment, "When Iranians learn to behave like Swedes, I will behave like the King of Sweden." In 1978, up to 9 million Iranians did just the opposite, taking to the streets to depose him. The Shah saw the writing on the wall and disappeared into exile. As rioters dismantled the country, a group of students stormed the US Embassy, taking 52 diplomats hostage, beginning a confrontation that would define the new Iran. The spiritual leader of the revolution, an exiled Ayatollah named Khomeini, came back to Iran from Paris, becoming the first supreme ruler of the Iranian Islamic Republic and placing the country under Islamic law. The Arab world and the West acted quickly to stamp out the Shia revolution, which threatened to spread to Lebanon and even Iraq. The charge was led by Saddam Hussein. With backing from Europe and the United States, he swiftly invaded Iran and believed he would win the war in a matter of months. The war lasted 8 years and killed 1 million Iranians, more than double the Iraqi losses. But miraculously, the Republic remained intact. By the end of the war, the US had been forced into the position of supplying Iran with weapons, as well as Iraq, to guarantee the release of several hostages. Following the death of Khomeini, the Republic entered a period of stability and rebuilding, and by 2000, liberals controlled the Iranian parliament for the first time since the revolution. By now, the Ayatollahs found themselves under more pressure than any time since the revolution. Forced back into opposition, another defeat for the Liberals in 2009 brought hundreds of thousands of Iranians into the streets. And just this year they have faced sanctions which have put Iranian inflation to 25%, assassinations of nuclear scientists, and a series of cyber attacks. Whatever their future, the Ayatollahs of Iran, from Khomeini to Khamenei, have successfully merged Islam with revolutionary politics. It is a legacy that hangs over the world today more than ever.